In this video, we're going to use order of operations with rational numbers or fractions, and we're going to write our answer in lowest terms. Before we get started, though, we need to do a quick refresher on adding and subtracting. Remember, when you're adding and subtracting fractions, you have to have the same number on bottom. You have to have a common denominator. If you get a common denominator when you're adding, you add the top, put it over that denominator. If you are subtracting, you subtract the top and put it over the denominator. Now, if you don't have a common denominator, you have to find one. So let's practice. On the first example here, we have a common denominator. So we add 3 plus 2 is 5, and our answer would be 5/7. On part B, we have a common denominator. 5 minus 11 is -6. We would have -6/12. But now remember, 5/7 didn't have any common factors, but here we do. 6 goes into both of those. 6 goes into 6 one time, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So our answer in lowest terms would be -1/2. Part C, we have to make that an improper fraction before we can subtract. This would be -20 plus 1 gives us -21/4 minus -2 times 4 is 8 plus 3 is 11. So it'd be -11/4. Now remember, when you have minus a negative here, that turns positive. We have a common denominator, so I have -21 plus 11 on top. That's -10, and then that would be over 4. 2 goes into both of these, so we end up with -5/2, which is an improper fraction. As a mixed number, that would be a -2 1/2. Now on this example, it says, don't forget, when your denominator is not the same, you have to find the least common denominator. That is the first multiple, not factor, the first multiple that they have in common. So let's look at the next example. We have 3/4 plus 1/6. So our denominators are 4 and 6. You want to find the first multiple they have in common. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12. If you look at this one, 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12. 12 is a common denominator for these. Okay, that's the first multiple they have in common. So I'm going to take these and change them to 12 on bottom, both of them. So to go from 3/4 to 12, you had to do 4 times 3 to get to 12. So you have to multiply the top by 3. That's what they're showing you right here. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. So that changes to 9/12. To make a 6 into a 12, you have to multiply by 2. So you have to multiply the top and bottom by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Now that we have a common denominator, we can add. 9 plus 2 is 11, and our answer would be 11/12, which will not reduce. So now that we've practiced, let's do order of operations. Remember, it's please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or Pedmus. We do parentheses, which means any grouping symbols first. So we are going to start right here with this grouping symbol, 1/2 minus 3/4. Now to get a common denominator, 1/2 is the same as 2/4. Okay, we had to multiply the top and bottom by 2. Minus 3/4. Now 2/4, a little better, minus 3/4 turns into a -1/4. Okay, there's nothing to do in this parenthesis, and this one just means multiply. There's nothing to do here. So we've done our first step. So our next step is going to be exponents. So let's do those. 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/8. Minus -1/4 times -1/4 is a positive 1/16. So now we're left with -1/8 minus 1/16 times -4. So what you do next is multiplication and division. We're going to do our multiplication and division from left to right. So right here we have multiplication. We are going to do 1/16 times -4. That ends up being -1/4. And then last we do our addition and subtraction from left to right. So then we're going to take and do 1/8 minus -1/4. Okay, now remember, 1/8, if you get a common denominator here, that would end up being 2/8. Okay, So you have 1/8 minus negative 1/4. That would be 1/8 plus 2/8, which is 3/8. So our final answer for that would be 3/8, and that is reduced.